me.
Okay.
Oh my God, please.
Okay.
I'm so desperate. And
The Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.
Matteo Lane is here. Hi, Matteo.
hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for being had, and
Yes.
welcome to the show.
Thanks.
You know what? Instagram is a funny thing. I end up buying shirts from China.
that never show up. It
Right.
takes like 18
Right.
months. I'm like, okay.
And when they come, it will fit my little brother. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Right.
Like, it's
Instagram,
crazy.
I've bought pots and pans from Scotland that were pieces of crap. But one thing I learned about was you, Matteo Lane.
Hey.
You have your social media down pat. You're doing really well.
Well, I have no other options, so it's not like NBC's knocking and Netflix is like, come here. It's like, well, Instagram seems pretty cozy.
Okay, don't let him make you think that it's all difficult. But I mean, you have your comedy special out Sunday, right?
Yes, on YouTube, Matteo Lane Comedy. It's called Hair Plugs and Heartache. I got hair plugs last year.
Oh, I want them. I want them so bad.
You did?
I
mean,
want
they
them.
don't call them hair plugs anymore, but who's a hair transplant? I wanted to call it Matteo Lane. Netflix said no. But see, isn't that funny? I know. I think it's great. Oh, no, my team shot that down quick. So I was like, well, okay, the next most interesting thing about me is like I just got hair transplants and I have a whole bit about it.
Now
like,
I can't
talk
stop
about
looking
it.
at your hair.
I know. Isn't
That's
it
good.
crazy?
You can't even tell. It looks
Thanks.
so good.
So you have a whole bit about it?
Oh, yeah.
You see, I'm losing my hair in the back, so I don't see it when I look in the
That's
mirror.
better though. Like to have hair losing in the back, I feel is better because it's like, all right, cool. Unless someone's like really tall, I mean, like who cares?
Yeah, I'm
Like,
short, so I never know that people are going bald until
But what do you
they're
say? You
sitting-
want it? What do you need it for? You have so much hair.
Just a preemptive strike.
You just add more hair.
Just give me a lot of it, because did you do it in the United States or
yeah,
did you
I
go
did it.
overseas?
No, I didn't want to.
Okay.
I say in my act, but I'm like, I didn't want to be ugly in Turkey and have a swollen head and sit with 180 men on a flight looking like the alien from Mars Attacks. And I go to customs and they're like, what'd you bring back? So it's like I'd rather be ugly at home. So I found a doctor here in New York City, and he was great. And I just think it's a PSA. Like if you're gonna do it, you should have you should meet with multiple people. You shouldn't just meet with like one. Because I did a bunch of different interviews with doctors here, and some of them were horrible. So then you go online and you research like what's like a really good doctor, and like if it's a person who's like doing a consultation with you and they're just like a representative of the company, that's usually a sign that they're a bad place to get your hair done.
good
You
to know.
should meet with the doctor.
Okay.
Good to know.
So
Okay,
For a friend.
I have a question.
Yes.
So now, can you get haircuts? Does it grow in?
Well, yeah, it's not
Like
like,
regular hair?
I'm not like in the Met. I'm not like behind glass. You know what I mean? Yeah, it grows in like normal hair.
Okay,
It
I
is
didn't
my.
know.
I mean, it is.
I didn't know.
All they do is like they take hair from around the back of your
Yeah.
head and then they just bring it up front. So it's just your hair, but it's just moved into a better place.
Does it have to be hair from your head? Let's
Yes, it-
say.
So I can't use my
guess-
ass
You don't
hair.
want pube hair on
Why
your
not?
head.
Well,
So
I mean, you'll just have to straighten it every day. But I mean, you can. I think in like I don't know, not emergency cases, but I think you can use other parts of hair from your body, but it's usually just from your head. It's like how much donor hair you have. But I mean, people do beard transplants, and so I was leaving Italy. I'm always in Italy. I was leaving Italy, and there was obviously two gays coming from Turkey transferring because they had the whole beard thing and the head thing. Like they went and got their transplants done, and they were heading back. I'm like, I don't want that to be me. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to. Yeah.
It looks good.
Yeah.
They
never know.
did a really, really, really good job. I'm really happy with it.
We've gone 15 minutes about hair
I
transplants.
know. This
Well, I
is
have a
I'm
million more
fine with
questions,
talking
you know?
about it.
I mean, that's fine. Here's the thing about Matteo. He's a comedian, stand up. I want to talk about like what that is in your life on your journey. I mean, let's just do it now. Is this something you've always wanted to do? I mean,
Well, it's like I was a storyboard artist before this. I was an illustrator and drew fashion commercials and TV commercials and stuff like that for years. I went to art school, the whole thing. But I just think as like a gay guy, especially from my age, like I didn't even see a gay man do stand up until I was 23. So it just was like football. It was like a world that didn't exist to me. It wasn't for me. Usually gays were the butt of the joke, no pun intended. And then, the first person I ever saw say anything positive ever in my life about gay people ever was Kathy Griffin.
Right.
And I was probably 15 at the time. And so I remember watching her. My homophobia was so internalized. I almost watched her thinking, don't say that. You're going to lose your career. Like that's where we were still at. But I loved Kathy Griffin and she made me fall in love with stand-up. But it was Joan Rivers.
Of
The
course.
first time
Oh my
seeing
God.
Joan when I was 21 that it like was revealed to me that this was like a calling. I was like, oh, that's what I meant to do. And then I've never looked back.
So, I mean, stand-up, also artwork. I've seen some of your stuff.
Yes,
I mean,
thanks.
it's tremendous.
Thanks.
And also, you could be a chef. You could have your own cooking show.
I have a cooking show on my YouTube, but
Oh, you do?
again, not NBC. Yeah,
Not yet.
YouTube, the free network. But, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Well, so why are you giving YouTube such a? I mean,
I love it. Are you joking?
Wherever
Are you kidding?
wherever you are is great.
I think it's just sort of like a nod to like I had to do it myself. You know what I mean? Which I don't mind. I think it's great. I think trying to play the game I've been doing stand-up for 13 years and trying to play the game of like, like please this casting director and please this booker and please Netflix and please this. It's like you lose so much of yourself in that. And I just decided 2 years ago, especially with the help of Andrew Schultz, who's a great comic, was just like, okay, you can do it yourself. And then now it's like, oh, I'm doing all the things I want to do, and I didn't have to like sacrifice who I am to do it. Yeah.
And you're getting that out there. I mean, there's so many people we know in the music business too that they've decided not to go with labels anymore, the record labels.
Well, what is a record label? At this
Exactly.
point? You know what I mean?
They
it's
do
like
it
it's not the
themselves.
80s. Yeah. It works differently now.
It's true. And so you're mastering that, and that's so cool. Good for you.
Thanks. I mean, who knows? I'm just having fun. I'm doing these gorgeous like theater venues, and I get to travel. And I took the summer off though because I was touring for like 3 years. I'm like, am I Cher? Like, I have to stop this. So my agent, they're excited. They're like, we could book that. I said no. I said I just got a boyfriend. I'm taking the fucking summer off. Like, I'm going to Italy. I'm eating pasta. Bye.
Good for you. And Cher, Cher announced her going out of business tour how long ago, and she's still doing it.
She's still going out of business.
We were talking about the gay icons this morning.
Yes.
And so it was. Everyone has the same list. It's,
Yeah, well, it
it's
doesn't
Cher,
make sense
Barbara
because-
Streisand, Liza Minnelli.
But also, like, straight people never get it. You're like, Barefoot Contessa, Maleficent, and Miss Piggy are all gay icons. You know what I mean? It doesn't. There's no rhyme or if you're gay, you get it. If you're not gay, you're like, why Maleficent? I'm like, I don't know. She got horns and she's a bitch. I can't. See, I love.
And I'm not gay.
I know.
You're not.
Last I checked.
I love the Barefoot Contessa. I also want to live in the Hamptons and cook chicken for my gay husband.
I always wanted to be one of her gays. I just want to go
know.
to her house and just eat her
Me
food.
too. Well, the thing I love about Barefoot is like, by the way, I'm joking. I genuinely think her and Jeffrey are in love. Like, that is the relationship I want. I literally want that relationship. One, he's away for 5 days, and then when you're together, you're in a mansion. But she one time she said this. I don't know if you think it's funny, but because she's so out of touch with the real world.
Right.
Like, I don't even think she knew there was a pandemic.
I
I think she just walked around the Hamptons for 2 years like, it's quiet out today. Like, she didn't know. So I just, one time she was opening up her show, and I just think it's funny the producers didn't tell her, like, cut. She goes, my husband Jeffrey's out of town, so I have some friends over to play cards. And you know what they say? While the cat's away, the mice love to have lots of fun.
Wait a minute.
That's wrong. But what are they going to say? They're like, this lady's cooking us food in her mansion. Go ahead.
I think she has that Julia Child thing, right, where she's getting a little looped, a little
Well, I know
messed
she's
up.
just always kind of like the same, you know what I mean? And like, but except when like guests come over, like one time Mel Brooks came over to her house, which is so
weird.
relatable, and he came over and she gets nervous. You could tell she has social anxiety because when guests come over, she starts to laugh like at really inappropriate places. So he was like, "I'll have more chicken." She's like, I'm like, "Whoa, Ina, chill out. Like, have some composure."
You know what we've noticed like the past couple
I'm
of years?
obsessed with her.
We all are.
Yeah.
Well, I've noticed more heckling at stand-up shows. Are you getting hecklers more than you used to?
I'm
Is
not.
Is this a new?
No,
Is it like airlines or people are fighting each other?
Airlines. What a nightmare. But no, heckling. We were talking earlier about this. I was saying how like because people only know me for stand-up. They don't know me for anything else. So audiences generally come to see stand-up. So it's kind of like a win-win. I mean, every once in a while you get someone saying something, but no, I've had a really good run so far of people being like really well behaved.
Well, people are just so.
Except a woman in North Carolina a couple months ago threw up at my show. I was working on this new bit, and I was like, it'd been like, it's hard when you're working on new bits. You have to find the right pacing for it. So I'd done it 4 times that weekend. It was my 5th show, and I was like getting into it, and I really like lost the audience, and I was like, boy, like they really must hate this Paris Hilton bit. Like they just hate, like like everyone started chatting. I'm like, whatever, like it's my last show. I'm gonna go home. And then afterwards, the survey came up and they were like, yeah, did you see what happened? I go, no. They're like, a woman threw up on herself, her neighbor, and then threw up all the way to the bathroom. Like, oh. I'm like, that's why. But that's not really, she didn't heckle, so I prefer that.
That's
But
good.
people are just so triggered, and you can say some things
that's
and you
not
mean
my problem.
Exactly.
Thank you.
It's their
I mean, I
problem.
don't
What is
care.
your line of triggering?
Your what is it? Responsibility.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for
I mean,
that.
generally speaking, it's like, I don't know, if you come to see a stand-up show and you laugh at other things, and then if something you feel is too personal to you and you can't laugh at that, it's like, that's a hip. I think it's like, you're a bit of a hypocrite.
Yeah.
But I'm
Totally.
also not that kind of comic. I'm not trying to like push people's buttons. You know what I mean? I think I say stuff that's be triggered by. It would take a lot for me to trigger somebody. But no, generally speaking, I'm like, I don't know. I'm just not interested in that.
You're great at interacting with the audience, though. You love to interview and talk about their
I
relationship.
typically actually don't. I never talk to the audience.
Oh, really?
No, I did one special as kind of like a holdover because everyone's doing crowd work. So I did a crowd work special called the Advice Special.
That's what I saw.
But I reversed it where I was like, instead of me like, going up to people like, and what do you do for work? Just like this innocent bystander. I allowed them to ask me the questions. So I stood on stage with zero material prepared, and I said, ask me any question you want to. And it was great. But,
Let's ask Matteo some questions.
Okay, great.
Go,
I'm here to
Nate.
give advice.
Nate.
No. Next.
Go.
So your special is called Hair Plugs and Heartache.
Yes.
We talked about the hair plugs.
Yes.
What's up with the heartache?
Yeah,
Well,
what's up
heartache
with that?
is not really about heartache. It's about this girl named Queer Feminist wrote me on Instagram when I was making carbonara, and she was like, you threw out the egg and my heart ached. And I go on like a 15-minute rant about that. So that's what it's a callback to a joke of this woman who I now love, because she actually was funny because I've been doing that bit on the road, and she all of a sudden people like go back on my Instagram to try and find that comment. It's a really long bit. It's one of my best bits in this hour. And so she finally messaged. She's like, did something happen? She's like, everyone keeps commenting. I don't understand what's going on. And I wrote him like, I love you. You've brought me so much joy. Thank you for this comment. Just, she was a little too woke.
What was the comment, though?
Basically, I mean, I don't want to give too much away, but basically it's like, she was like, I saw you didn't use the egg whites. You threw the egg whites away. It was 2 egg whites. She was like, you should be giving that to people who need it.
Oh,
Egg
Lord.
whites?
Oh,
I know.
How are you supposed to
my
do that?
God.
So
We hear
I
those
went-
every
That's
day.
actually really
I went
funny.
on a whole rant of like what I would do with them, who I
What
would
you
bring
do?
it
Oh,
to.
Don't tell me now, because I'll
Right.
see it on the special.
Yeah.
I hate that.
But that's where the heartache comes from.
What's that? Oh, yeah.
Oh God.
We'll come in and go, oh, my God, it's National Nurses Day. Love nurses. Without them, doctors would fail miserably. Well, what about the EMTs? You forgot about
I'm sorry I
teachers.
didn't go to medical school. Like,
Well,
I'm sorry I'm not a nurse and I don't know. Like, that's what blows my mind is I was making fun of what it's like on airlines right now with Jessica
awful.
Curson, who's a great fucking, okay, I swear, sorry. She's a great comic, Jessica Curson. And we weren't talking shit about flight attendants. We were just talking shit about like what's going on with, like, we fly 3 times a week.
Right.
So if anyone knows what it's like to be on, and the fury of people being like, you have no idea what it's like, and the government did this, and we don't have that kind of money, and we have to deal with this and that. I'm like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I paid a lot of money for a seat that didn't work. That's what I'm talking about. So none of that's my problem. That sounds like you should go to your boss. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
sounds like
I'm
a you
just
thing.
commenting on what I'm seeing, Because I said, I'm like, at this point now, when you get a meal in first class, it's like they hold the tray, they stand at the front of the plane and throw it at you. My seat won't go down. You pay like $1,000 for this seat because I'm flying to Los Angeles. So I'm like, I got to do shows. You want, like, I'll spoil and get myself first class. And then the seat is like from 1974. The screen is so small. I'm like, do I have cataract? And then it doesn't even work. And then when you want to relax, you're like, I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then they're throwing meals at you. There's no blankets. I'm like, what is going on? And then I'm like, did I upset you? Like, did I make it? Like Jessica Curson said, she's like, I'll get on the flight. And then like, and what do you want to drink? She's like, oh my God, like, Dad, like, why? Like, what did I do wrong? Like, this is triggering. So
Flying is a nightmare, and it's not.
But generally speaking, flight attendants are great. It's not the flight attendant. Actually, one time I was on like the old ass Delta flight, like the old, like, I was like, is this a propeller? Am I on the Wright brothers plane? And this gay flight attendant, which I guess is redundant. He came up to me. He was so nice. He was like, oh my God, I hate Matteo. Well, he knew me. He was like, Matteo, I hate these flights. We can't wait to get rid of these planes. What can I do to help you? And I was like, oh, it's fine. You know, I'm always nice to them. Well, but I just complain about it later.
I just feel awful for them because like people on planes, what are they called? Passengers are jerks.
Well, I've never complained. I never yell. I always say thank you. You know, I'm always like I was flying JetBlue last week, and it was as if I told the flight attendant that her whole family was whores. Like she was treating me like such a pile of dog shit. And I was like, I refuse. I'm gonna be nice to this woman, and I got her on my side.
There you go. You won up.
You know, Nate thinks he has the trick to solving any issue with a flight attendant, and that's buttering them up with gifts. So he tries to bribe them with cookies.
You're actually
candy.
right. Yeah, I even heard a flight attendant even message me, and she was like, you know, if you want better service, why don't you like think about giving, like, bring something for the flight attendants or this or that. And I'm like, you know, you don't know me from Moses. When I'm getting on a flight and I'm going somewhere, let's say I'm going to someone's funeral, whatever it is, I'm not thinking, what can I do to make the flight attendant comfortable? Right. Isn't that in your job description to make me the one who feels comfortable?
And last time he tried it didn't even work. It was glorious.
What'd you give them?
Big veiny Snickers.
Well, the vein part. I would be like... I really am so nice to flight attendants, and I understand. Like, jokes aside, I get it. It sucks, but you know, it's like we all have jobs sometimes that suck. So I'm just commenting on it. I'm not saying that you suck.
Nate was saying when you were speaking earlier that you want to do nothing but stand up. You don't want to be an actor. I
didn't say I don't want to be an actor.
Nate, why are you lying to me?
No, people ask all the time. I get the question. So you want to act, or do you want to do other things? And I'm like, I don't have that relationship with stand up where I view it as less than. I really respect stand up. I respect it.
It's a tough job.
Doing stand-up as a professional living and doing shows, I don't see why that's less than being an actor on a TV show. I turned down a show. There was a show on Netflix. They asked me to be a character, of course, gay. But I knew the creator of the show, and she's unbelievable. And they were like, do you want to be this role? And I was just starting. Like, I only started a hit like a year ago, so I was just starting to like sell tickets, and I was like, this would be wrong, like to say no to 6,000 tickets for like a 5-episode thing. Like, this is what I have to focus on right now, and I think I was right.
You know, we've had many stand-up comedians come through here, and we've all found that you have this thing in common where you've got, it seems, thick skin. You can take crap from anyone and bad criticism and scary criticism. And also there's this self-doubt that a lot of stand-up people we've met tend to have. Well, but you seem like you're not doubting yourself at all.
I have thick skin for people that I respect. So if I'm sitting at the Comedy Cellar table and I'm with comics and they're making fun of me, like, I respect them because they're comics and I'll make fun of them back. And da-da-da. It's people who don't understand what we do, who try and comment, that always bother me. And it's not that it offends me or like my feelings are hurt. It's just frustrated that someone would be so wildly arrogant. But again, it's like the doctors. It's like, what about the MTs? Like, that's what I turn into, you know? So, but comics, I mean, it's the only job where you're going on stage and you're being judged immediately. It's not like you're an actor.
Doesn't that scare the crap out of you?
Well, not anymore. I mean, I do it every night. I've been doing it every night for 13 years. So it's like, you know, it's like, I don't know, laying in bed. Like, it feels that normal, you know? But I think it's like, what other job do you have? Like, actors, you can rehearse at home, or you're on stage, or you're doing film, you get multiple takes, or singing, you can work with producers and you spend months making these songs. Stand-up has to be written in front of the audience. You have to do it in front of an audience. You can't rehearse it at home in front of your mirror and then go perform it. Doesn't work that way. And it's the only job where you're getting judged immediately. And the audience will let you know, we didn't like that. So, you know, you kind of have to suck it up.
What's funny?
Which is the name of my book.
It should be.
And on my Grindr profile. I actually don't have Grindr. It's too stressful. Now I have a boyfriend, but yeah.
What makes you laugh? What
you know what makes me laugh? Comics that make me laugh are the comics that are usually general. Well, the funniest comedian I know is a comic named Yamaneika Saunders, which she lives in New York. You should have her on this show. She's the funniest person you'll ever meet. There's no better working comic in America.
What makes her so funny to you?
You have to see her.
Okay.
I can't even. First of all, I can't say what she says because I'll get canceled. But you know, you have to see her. She is that funny. But comics that generally make me laugh are like these kind of like cheesy one-liners. like bait and switch jokes. There's this comic in LA. I don't know what his name is. I forget. Maybe Frazier or something. He wears a suit and he just does one-liners. And after every one line, he snaps. And I could watch him for days. I just think it's so funny. Like really, Gary Veeder is a really funny. He's not really a one-liner, but he has like that sensibility to him. I just love comics like that.
It seems like you're a student of comedy, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, when you do comedy, you have to do open mics, which is a nightmare. You go into a basement somewhere in New York, and you put your name in a hat, and you wait. There's 60 other comics in the room, and you only get 2 minutes, and so you're forced to observe. But I think most of art is observing more than it is doing, because you have to observe to see, does this work for me? How does he stand on stage? How do you deliver a joke? You're learning when you're doing open mics, which is like I meet comics who want to skip that. They just want to go do shows. And I'm like, it is the most important thing to do open mics. You have to suffer, whatever. You have to be able to perform in front of any audience. Like there's this comic I know who's starting out and he's like, I'm just going to do these like bringer shows at Caroline's and Gotham and stuff, which is shows like you ask 15 of your friends to come. I'm like, that will not help you. I said, you might feel more comfortable. I said, but that will not help you. You must go to open mics. And of course, me being a professional doesn't take my advice.
There you go. It would scare me.
I get so passionate about stand-up. It's the most ridiculous thing. I'm like, it's philosophy. And then I'm on stage. I'm like, Rachel Ray's an idiot. It's like, it's such a dumb world,
Speaking of passion, I have one question.
Yes.
How'd you meet your boyfriend?
Oh my God! So I met him.
Did you see his body language when he started talking about his
I'm
boyfriend?
very in love right now. His name is Rodrigo. He's from Mexico City, and we met on Instagram like a couple months ago, and we were just like, like flirting on Instagram, like, hey, like, you're hot, whatever.
Who slid into the DMs first?
Me.
Okay.
Oh my God! Please,
Okay.
I'm so desperate. And but we started talking, and then it was like, wow, we're talking all day. Like, we're saying good morning to each other. Then we exchange WhatsApp. Then we're talking on WhatsApp. Then we're FaceTiming all day. And he's like, I want to come meet you. I'm like, okay, you should come to. I'm also Mexican. I'm Italian and Mexican, which is why I look like a deli worker. But I know. I have gay voice, but I should sound like my friend, But so I said you should come to New York. So this is like a month and a half ago. So he came to New York for a couple days, and it was just, as I was picking him up, I was like, Matteo, what are you doing? There's a stranger coming into your home for 4 days. You don't know him from, like, what do you do? The second I met him, I thought, this person's going to be in my life for a long time.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And he's very healthy, mentally healthy.
Yeah.
He's very honest. I really appreciate that. It reminds me of a comedian where it's like he just wants to get to honesty. So I don't feel like I'm in a relationship where I'm like trying to fulfill someone's fantasy of like how to be the best boyfriend. He's like when we said we loved each other, he like basically called me out. I was like, it wasn't supposed to be like this. He's like, no expectations, amor. I'm like, all right, fine. But he's great. I really love him. And he's coming to New York this week, and then we're going to Italy together next week.
Oh,
And so
man.
who's going to move first, you or him?
Obviously, he's coming to New York City.
Mexico City's hot, though.
I love Mexico City, and it's nice to go back and connect with like my Mexican culture because I don't know much about my grandpa from Mexico. He had 5 kids with my nonna, and then 5 kids with another woman, and named all the kids the same names.
Stop it.
So dead serious. So
Kinda smart.
she that's what Noches con Platanito said to me, a host on a Mexican TV show. I was waiting for everyone to be like traumatized, and he was like, "¿Qué de la gente, tu abuelo?" So yeah, but so my grandma divorced him before I was born, and she remarried a Sicilian. So I was only growing up with like Italian culture, but I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican and Italian. It's weird. And everyone in my family is like, when you're mixed, like some of my aunts look really Italian, some just look really Mexican. I'm like, this is kind of wild.
You seem like you're having a great life.
I am. I play Fortnite with friends all day. I go to the gym. I do shows. I live alone. It's great.
Cook pasta. You cook
I
pasta.
cook pasta. Although I'm like, like gays are the opposite of Game of Thrones, where like winter's coming. We're like, summer's coming. So I haven't had pasta in a minute. I'm trying to look hot before I go to Italy.
You're going to do just fine in Italy.
Yeah.
Matteo Lane, it's out June 11th. It's
Yes.
Hair Plugs and Heartache.
Yes.
Congratulations on
Thank
everything.
you. Thanks for having me on the show. My friend Nick Smith, by the way, says hi. He would be mad if I didn't. He's like, oh
Hi,
my
Nick
God,
Smith.
I love him so much.
Oh, we love Nick Smith.
Yeah, Nick is 6'4", wears women's blouses, and has no redeeming qualities, and sounds like Squidward. So I don't know how familiar. You should have Nick on the show. He's so mean to me. I'll call him and be like, hey, Nick, what are you doing? Well, I'm watching a murder mystery, and if you call me again, you'll be the next mystery. So he is very, but I listen all the time.
I guess We're the foundation behind his humor, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. So Nick Smith has you guys to thank.
Matteo, thank you for coming in.
Bye,
It's
thanks
an
for having
honor
me, guys.
honor to meet you.
The Mercedes-Benz Interview Lounge.